Well, welcome to Bound for Glory Coaching Services, where we'll be reviewing spiritual discipline and equipping for church growth. And this is your playbook here. So we're looking forward for a great teaching, instructional time there. So relax, get ready, get your notepad, your iPad, your notebook, pencil, pen. Get ready to start typing. Some real good notes here that's literally applicable for all believers at every different stage, age, phase, part of life of growth that they may be experiencing right now. So this is very, very, very important. Spiritual discipline and equipping. We just don't look at numerical growth far as with the church, but we look at beyond numerical growth, beyond numbers. We got to look at spiritual growth as far as maturing, and this, of course, involves spiritual discipline, and spiritual equipping. So it's very necessary that we have this involved, so that we know what it takes in order to grow. So it's more or less like saying, staying in shape spiritually. That is Galatians 6:9. Be not weary of doing well and well doing, but in due season you should reap your reward. So you don't want to get weary, right, in doing spiritual discipline and spiritual equipping. It's kind of like exercising, you keep exercising, keep on exercising, it's going to pay off sooner or later. Sometimes you don't get that instant result and so forth, but if you stay in on it, you'll get to see what it is in store for you. So it's so important to stay focused, to stay diligent, committed, dedicated when it comes to spiritual discipline and equipping. You have to be very knowledgeable on what's going on, but at the same time, we have to also have a balance and understanding that it's grace. Spiritual, of course, we talk about this later, but spiritual discipline does not equal spiritual maturity. Okay, and so we have to really understand that salvation is not based on spiritual disciplines that we're going to cover here. Salvation is strictly based upon the grace, love, and mercy of Jesus Christ and the work that was done upon the cross. And so that's very important, but we still need spiritual discipline to be able to grow and mature into the disciple and the son and daughter that God wants us to be. So let's go ahead and let's jump into it, and let's see what else the Lord will have for us. Okay. So as you already see here, spiritual discipline and equipping. Spiritual discipline is as necessary as exercise and eating the right diet. Very, very important. So you understand that that's spiritual discipline. So once a person gets saved or born again, converted, or even they join our church, they may be already born again or saved, but they join our church, we can't prolong the opportunity of spiritual discipline. You got to begin to replace some habits that's in their lives, right? Especially they baby believer, baby Christians, or the young believers in age. You got to begin to implement spiritual discipline in their lives so they can begin to grow. Growth is not automatic when it comes to the spirituality. It is intentional. It is done with practice and habits. So it's very important that we implement that into our regular routine and scheduling in our church activities. So when a believer does not have spiritual discipline, certain for sure events will happen. No prayer life will invite the temptation of sin. At 1 Samuel 12:23. So absolutely no prayer life will eventually invite in the temptation of sin. Now I'm not going to say it's going to invite in sin, but it will definitely invite the temptation of sin, because prayer more or less like building that wall, like Jericho, the Jericho wall, building that wall around you, or Nehemiah wall is building around you. So it's really important that we build a wall of prayer around our daily lives, living in our spiritual walk. No prayer life could lessen the rewards of the kingdom life. Matthew 6:6. So the Bible says when you pray in secret, you're also going to be rewarded publicly and open. So that's the reward of the kingdom life. So if we don't have prayer in our life, it's very important we understand that we probably won't reap that reward. So it's very important we understand we got to have prayer in our life some way, shape, or form. No fasting life could also lessen your kingdom rewards and less breakthroughs. And as mentioned in Matthew 6:18 as well, fasting in secret, reward openly, kingdom wise. Isaiah 58:6-8 mentioned about the breakthroughs, remove the burdens and so forth and everything else. Very, very important. Meditation and memorization can minimize success. Joshua 1:8, Psalms 1:2, 1 Timothy 4:13. And it mentioned that as far as if we don't meditate, we don't memorize, we may not experience the success that we desire to have in our lives. Some good definition of spiritual disciplines is, number one, a deliberately self-imposed habit that nurtures spiritual health and fosters spiritual growth leading to maturity. Another good definition of spiritual discipline is repetition action driven by spiritual decisions rather than natural environmental reactions, right? So we want those intentional spiritual decisions based on repetitive acts that we do, disciplines, rather than natural environmental reactions that we would normally, because normally that what we would do if we weren't born again, weren't saved, we would have those natural environmental reactions. But now that we're born again, now that we are saved, we got to begin to change our habits. Habits are changed by certain level of thoughts or thought patterns, or I should say decisions. Habits are changed by decisions. Decisions are changed by consistent thought patterns, and thought patterns are changed by ideas that you are persuaded in. So once you have persuaded idea, you're going to have a consistent thought pattern. Thought patterns will bring about decision. Decision will bring about habits, action, and then habits. So it's very important that we practice that. Spiritual exercises to develop sacred rhythms to engage in intentional spirituality in the pursuit of intimacy with God. Very important. Another thing to very much remember in the midst of gaining great disciplines, spiritual equipping, things that we really need to be mindful of, and while we are growing in spiritual discipline, is this right here. They do not provoke more love or admiration from God. Okay, the cross and His righteous and His grace is sufficient. Remember, we are the righteousness in Christ. So therefore, we've been conforming to the image of the Son. It's not our works that please God. It was the work of Jesus Christ upon the cross that pleased our Heavenly Father. So none of our works can measure to the work of the cross and to get more favor or more love or more admiration from God. Very important. It doesn't make us any more superior than anyone else. So being more disciplined in prayer and fasting, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to make us more spiritual than anyone else. Okay, and so that's something for us to understand and realize. Not only that, spiritual discipline does not equal spiritual maturity. So no matter how spiritual you are in discipline, or how disciplined you are in spiritual discipline, it does not mean that you are superior, or it doesn't mean that you are mature. Okay, so that's very important that we understand that. Okay, so some disciplines named, just to mention a few. Inward disciplines will include prayer, fasting, studying, meditating, and contemplating. And of course, in your book, it goes over extensively all of these here, the inward, outward, and the corporate. But just kind of do a brief mention. Of course, we all know prayer is a dialogue between you and God, right? And the different type of forms of prayer. There's the request or petition prayers. It's the intercession type prayer when you intercede on other behalf. It's the Thanksgiving type prayers, and really just seeking His face type prayers, where you just, you're not asking, you're not really interceding, but you're just really going in to seek His presence, just hear from God and so forth and everything else. But be mindful that it is a dialogue. Of course, you got fasting, very important. Studying, very important. Meditating and contemplating. Outward discipline is simplicity, solitude, submission, service, and giving. And so realizing that there are times when you gotta spend your time in solitude, just away from people and things and activities. Just spend your time with God. Just kind of shut yourself out from the world, and just spend your time with God. Submission is an incredible outward discipline, whether it's with your parents, grandparents, your pastor, spiritual leaders, your supervisors. It's just a great way to discipline yourself. Service is serving, not only in the church but in the community. Giving, same thing. Sowing, planting, tithing. It's a great discipline. Corporate worship, giving, and all the above as far as corporately being done. So very important that we implement these different things in our lives, that it become part of our life, somewhat like breathing or drinking water. It has become part of our lives. So it's really important that we understand that it's not more like choices, which one should I do. You literally should implement all of them in your life and in the church corporately as well. So very important. There are wonderful prayers that can be done. Prayer and fast, I should say, because you're going to do both of them together. But fasting and prayer that can be done. You got the 1 day fast prayer fast, which is a complete fast, water only. You have the 3-day fast, which is complete water only. 21 days Daniel fast, which are the veggies, fruits, and 100% juice or water. There's many different variations with that. I like to keep it very simple. A true Daniel fast. 21 days, no meats, no bread, no sweet pastries, and so forth. And I like to keep it relatively simple. Just vegetables and just fruits. So a lot of people say, well, I'm not eating meat. Would that include, can I still eat fish? But even though fish is not meat, but it is not rather vegetables, and it's not fruit. Neither is pasta or rice. That's not vegetable, that's not fruit. So we talk about things that are classified as vegetables, things that are classified as fruits, and 100% juice or water. Not the sweetener stuff or the tea or the coffee. A lot of people are coffee addicts, but we talking about being dependent upon God rather than being dependent on certain drinks or certain foods that's not vegetables or fruits there. So we talking about 100% juice, and the benefit of fasting is incredible. Not only spiritually but even physically. The detox that will happen, getting rid of the radicals on the inside of you, the cleansing that will happen, the clarity of your thinking, the energy that you will have. It's not even including the spiritual, because your spirit man have a more boldness and confidence of leaning towards obeying God rather than obeying the flesh. So really important. For all fasts, however, each individual have to consult their physician, especially if they own medication. But meats, breads, and pastries are not requirements to take medicine, which it could be the reason why they are on the medication anyway. So a lot of times people say, well, I can't really fast because my medicine required me to eat. And, I don't know too many medicine that require you to eat, you know, pastries and sweets and breads and meat. I don't really know. I haven't really heard any, but it's possible, I guess. So, but just be mindful of that. The integrity would benefit that person if they do it the right way. Okay, so instruction for conference or revival meetings. Um, it's a lot of different instructions in there on how to study, how to pray, how to do confessions, meditation, contemplation, solitude, worship. It's all in your playbook. It's wonderfully described in there. Even gives some examples of what to do, how to do it, and everything. So I'm not going to really go over all of that. But just on a corporate level, and getting people involved in on your meetings, whether it's Sunday morning meetings, whether it is your conferences, your revivals, or any special meetings that you will have throughout the year. These are different instructions you can do to bring some of the disciplines, spiritual discipline they have done individually, and bring it into corporate session, and really reap some great benefits, rewards on behalf of God. Okay, once again, you pray, you fast in secret as a whole church, corporate church. He's gonna reward you openly in conference and so forth and everything else. So developing a prayer strategy. At least 2 months out, have a special time of prayer specifically for that meeting, that particular meeting that you're going to have, revival conference and so forth, during or before morning worship. So you can have the people come in, and that puts some emphasis on the importance, the value, the expectation, anticipation of that particular meeting as well. So if at least 2 months out, if you have a special time set aside for prayer, wow, it will be major. Consider scheduling a 40-day prayer, a period rather, of fasting and prayer. 40-day period of fasting and prayer. And it can be modified. It could be a complete fast with just water only, or from sunrise, sunset, or whatever it may be. But schedule it at least 40 days. 40 days or any length of time. Schedule a 1 or 2 hour prayer chain. Okay, and an example is left in your book to be able to see how that is done. A month prior, ask volunteers to host a weekly 1-hour prayer meetings in their homes. Consider all-night prayer with a prayer list of what you would like to have in prayer. And of course, a host of other different great things that you can be able to do as well. Very good stuff that you can be able to do. Okay, so most important, as a church or mastermind, you should provide instructions, the opportunity to exercise all of these great disciplines. This will cause your church to grow healthily in spirit and with one another. Okay, so it's very important as a church, as a pastor, as a mastermind, spiritual leaders, that you provide instructions, how to pray, how to study, how to meditate, how to memorize, how to read, daily devotionals, different prayer times available in different ways. All sorts of different disciplines. Give it to them. Let them have it. Teach it, instruct it, and to get an opportunity to walk it out. Okay, very, very important. And this will cause your church literally to grow spiritually. Okay, really to grow spiritually, corporately, together as one family, church family, and as individual. And this can be done in small groups, like individual small ministries, ushers, greeter, music ministry, your speaking ministries, or your small group type classes. You can also do it there. your men, women, youth group, ministry departments, pretty much the same. You know, you can do it through there as well. Workshops and seminars, very important. You can bring in different ones that would teach on all the different disciplines, giving, tithing, all the great different disciplines, submission. All of these are really good to be able to teach, instruct, and then give them opportunity. Don't try as much as you can not to give instructions and not give opportunity for them to carry it on out. And you know, if you're gonna give instructions and teachings and so forth, give them opportunity to exercise it, so they can experience the benefit of it. And like I say, it can be goals set annually or special occasions, while you're doing the different disciplines. You know, so set goals for them. Have a 365 daily devotional or a weekly 52-week devotional, or have some readings that they would do. Let your sermon be based on, okay, we're going to preach on the book for the next 3 or 4 months, and let's all read that book, you know, together, corporately, individually at home. So I hope you be blessed. I hope you enjoy this great teaching instruction. Okay, I see you now in this video.